In this part of the office project, we're going to model the office building. So the first thing we're going to do is open up Sketchup. And in the last part, in part 1, we created this JPEG of a PDF of the plan and elevations of this building, and we named it with 36 by 4 or 36 by 24 inches in the name, so that we knew how big this sheet of paper is, and that's how, so we can scale it properly. So we can see this is 1/8 inch equals 1 foot. So we have to times 36 inches wide by 8 to get the proper amount of feet. So let's make sure that we're in the proper units of scale. So we go to Window, Model, Info, Units, and make sure we're on Architectural so that we're displaying inches. Right here, length in inches. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go to Shadows tab. To get the shadows, you add it to your default tray in the Windows settings, and I'm going to turn up, I always, by default, this button is not checked here, use sun for shading. I always check that so that I can control how bright the screen is. If you don't have that, then if I uncheck that, then the screen will change based on where you're at, and I don't like that because it hurts my eyes. I like being able to control exactly how bright things are and create and control the shadow direction, the sun direction in my model. So right now this is just an image. I can't do anything in 3D modeling with it, but if I right click on it, say explode, now it becomes a 3D face with 4 lines around it. Now I need to, I'm going to open the Materials tab and apply my default material to the back face so that it's just, the drawing is just on the front. So I'm going to go into X-ray in my Styles tab here, and I'm going to select this whole thing, the face and all 4 lines, and then right click, say Make Group. Then I'm going to double click, so I'm inside the group, use my tape measure tool within the Construction tab, and then click on here, one corner, click the other corner, and it's going to tell me down here that it was 25 feet 3 inches, but I want it to be, I want to force it to be what it's supposed to be. So 36 inches times 8, because it's 1/8 inch, so 1 inch equals 8 feet, so that's 288 feet. So let's try that again. So click on one corner, click on the other corner, then type 288 apostrophe enter. Do you want to resize the group? Yes. So now I forced it to be exactly 288 feet. Let's just check it by measuring it again, and yes, it's 288 feet, as you can see down in this corner down here. Another way we can check it is just to find a dimension up here that says 20 feet, measure that, and yes, it's 20 feet. Okay. So it's to the proper scale, so I right click, explode it again. I want to get rid of these axes lines, world axes. So let's go to Styles, Edit, Modeling Settings, and uncheck Model Axis, then update it. Okay. So now I want to cut out the plan and these 2 elevations. So I'm just going to grab that line with the Select tool, click the Move tool, and then hold Control and move this line, and then just duplicate this line over here to grab the bottom of that plane, and then I'll Control move a duplicate line for the top. I'll do that for each of these elevations. And then again for this plan of the building. And then I can also grab some lines over here and duplicate those lines over, just quickly, not perfectly yet. And then I'll use the eraser tool to erase the extra lines I don't need around this. I don't need that or this. So now I've got the two elevations. I can shorten this over. So these I'm gonna select these and then right click, make those into groups, separate groups, and then what I need to do is rotate these. So I'll select that group, use the rotate, and then lock it onto this, click and drag the left mouse button so I get the proper red axis, and then rotate it and type in 90, enter. So it rotates exactly 90 degrees up, and then turn off shadows for now. Do the same thing with the rotate tool for this one. Click and drag, then click and drag, 90, enter. So if I move this one back, it should be exactly lined up with this plan so that you can see the door in plan, door in elevation. So that's lined up perfectly because whoever drew the blueprint plans for this lined them up already. So it's one less step we have to do. We do have to line up this side with the side over here though. So let's rotate it in the blue axes and then move it over. Just grab it here and move it over to match up with this building here, the plan. There. I think that's it's a little bit strange. It doesn't line up perfectly. Yeah, it's a little bit. I think they drew it a little bit off because the front lines up. No, actually it doesn't. Everything seems a little bit off because really I think whoever drew this drew it wrong because this line should line up. This dotted line should line up. All that lines up perfectly, but this line should line up with that right there, and it doesn't. And this line should line up with the back here, and it doesn't. So I think that was a mistake. That's another one of the best things about working in 3D is you can see mistakes. If you're working in 2D, you cannot see mistakes until you get it into 3D, or unless you line everything up constantly with your 2D lines with guidelines, and that takes a lot of extra work, in my opinion. It's so much easier just to draw things in 3D, and then you can see if it works or doesn't work. It's a very easy yes or no answer. I can adjust the shadows a little bit to so things show up a little better. That looks pretty good. I like that. Okay. So now all of this is pretty much lined up, except for that mistake that we think happened there. That's fine. Let's just ignore it for now. So now the next thing we want to do, well, first let's save it. Let's just right click, update our scene. And if there's no scene, you can go to View, Animation, Add a Scene. And that way, if we're moving around, we can always go back to the main view. We'll save this as Office Project Building. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is trace this footprint, and I know we did it in the site plan in the previous part, but this plan is a little bit more accurate. It shows all the doors and it's just more accurate, so we're just going to redo it. Just use the pencil tool and redraw these lines for the building. We don't have to draw this stuff because we already have that in our site model in the other part, so we'll merge these models back together later. So I'm locking it to this color, hold down shift, and then I can snap it so that those corners line up perfectly. And then finish it with that. Now I can erase the extra outlines we don't need. I'll come back in here and finish up drawing the rest of the lines. Draw that line across, this one, finish up these. And I want this corner piece to be the same size as that, so I'm just going to copy all these lines, hold down Control Shift to deselect that, move, hold down Control, and just move those over here. So now this corner is the same size as that corner. And these walls should be about 6 inches wide. So I'm going to use the offset tool. First, yeah, let's just use it now. Let's start by using the offset tool. And then type in, while you click and drag, type 6, enter. That'll make the walls exactly 6 inch. Double click. Double click, double click. So now all of those walls are 6 inches thick. Pencil tool, finish off these little pieces here. One more here. And then eraser the extra lines we don't need. So now let's just add in these middle interior walls. Might as well, even though we're probably not going to do interior renderings right now. Just add, so move, Control copy over 6 inches, and then Control copy these, Control move those over to copy. Make that wall over here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add lines here for the doorways. The windows and doors here. So these are windows and doors, so those sections will be separated. I'll show you how we're going to do that later. And then I want to just delete these lines for now because they're kind of useless. For right now. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to copy, let me save it. I'm going to copy these lines down, this one line, to the bottom edge of these metal caps on each level. I'll show you in a minute why I want to do that. I'm also going to copy one down to the top of this window area. actually, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I want to do it. Okay. So let's take off X-ray mode. And I don't really need... any of these lines because I understand what's going on now that I look at this. And I'll show you in a minute. It's probably easier for me to show you than to tell you what's going on if you haven't figured it out yet. Just because I look at a lot of these plans, so I understand. So I don't need these lines. And I'm going to take it, put the default material onto all of this. I don't need that anymore. I understand what to do next. So we're going to use the push-pull tool, push-pull these walls all the way up to this line here. Okay. Now we're going to draw lines connecting these walls here over. I'll show you in a second why we're doing this. If you haven't figured it out. Now I want to delete these inner pieces here. Then I'm going to use the push-pull tool. I'll delete these also. Push-pull this down to line up with this right here. Do the same thing. Double-click. Double-click. Okay, so we're creating spaces for these windows to go into. And we're going to create a component and then we're going to copy those components over so that they match, and if we change one it changes all of them, which is the best part about using SketchUp. And in other 3D software they would be called instances, but in where they copy each other and they follow the directions, if you change and edit one, it changes all of them. But in SketchUp it's called a component, not an instance. It's just a different name for the same thing. So, so next, let's see what we got here. I do want to create a line. I want to add this line back in there, and then use a push-pull tool and raise this one up because this is actually higher. Up here. Oh, actually, I don't want it to go that high. I just want it to go to the bottom of this edge because we're going to create the caps to go on top in a minute here. And as usual, I delete any extra lines that we don't need. Okay. Also, what I like to do is just draw a line in the doorway here, halfway across the threshold. And then I'll use the eraser tool and just delete this outer part and then this inner line. And what that'll allow me to do is the concrete sidewalk will come in a little bit underneath the doorway, and then the interior flooring will start halfway through the wall, which is somewhat, it's not perfectly realistic, but it's for rendering purposes it works pretty good, I've noticed. Okay, we're getting pretty good here to how we want it. So what I can see, I have to interpret this metal panel here is going up and then it's coming across here and then it's coming here and here. So these pillars here should actually turn the corner and go this way on both sides. So what I'm going to do is draw a line here and then push-pull this over to meet that wall. And while I'm at it, I don't really care about this hole here. I'm just going to fill it in because it's a meaningless. It's an empty wall. Maybe you could put some storage or a hidden safe in the wall or something. I don't know what you would do with it. But it's a hollow wall with no purpose that I know of yet. Unless they invent a purpose for it. It's just visual. It's a visual look. So what this does is it creates an overhang by this metal panel coming over it, shooting out. Instead of building an overhang, it just creates an automatic overhang to give a little bit of protection from rain or snow for somebody who's walking in and out of the building. Really, I should just delete those. Bring this over. Okay. It's taking shape. It's taking shape. Now, if you remember in the plan, there was a dotted line right here. And what that dotted line represents is this overhang. So we've created where the dotted line used to be and what it represented. We've created it for real. Virtually. For real. Whatever that means. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to create kind of a roof, a ceiling in here rather. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a fake line to just create a ceiling, so to speak, on all of these. Then I'm going to use the push-pull tool and make it go down 1 foot or 12 inches either way. You could do type in 1 apostrophe enter, or you can push-pull and go down 1, 2, enter, which is 12 inches. Either way is the same exact thing. And what I want to do next, so I've created, and that's going to be my interior ceiling. So I'm going to right click on this. I can see that it's a different color. It's not white, because the white is the outer face, and then the tan is the inner face. So right click, reverse faces. When you're rendering in a render engine, some render engines will do double-sided materials and some won't, especially video game based GPU rendering engines. They like to do just one-sided since it saves on computer resources. So when you're modeling, you always want to model so that the visible face is the exterior face. As if we were going into the materials, you see this default material has 2 sides, white and tan. White is out, so that's the side you want to see, the white. The tan you don't want to see. So I can see it here, but I'm going to cover it over with the roof. So I'm going to draw in the fake lines again to create the roof. So I've got my roof, and now I've got my ceiling, and there's a space in between of empty space. That's where the metal trusses would go in, the insulation and the vents and everything would go inside there. It's probably, in reality, it's probably more than 12 inches. It's probably more like 24 inches or 20 inches. But for purposes of right now, I don't know what it is, and I don't care, because we're not doing interior renderings right now. So now I've got all this extra geometry in the middle here that I don't need, and since I am a stickler for clean models, I'm just going to delete the extra geometry that is not what we need right now, as well as these lines. Well, no, yeah, I'm going to delete these lines too. I don't need these either for what we're doing. We don't need them. they're just going to get in the way and make things harder. That looks great. We'll do the same thing to this one. So go down 1 foot, create a roof plane, right click, reverse. And in reality this is just a fake wall too, just empty, so I don't even need to have a ceiling in this. I'm just going to delete all of that. In reality, I don't need any of this. Unless they decide to use it for something. We can always model it back in later. I don't think it's useful right now. It's just an empty decoration for maybe a sign to go on. I don't know, just something to break up so it's not so flat, to visually break the building up a little bit. And it's also not perfectly symmetrical. It's more of a modern type of architecture, they call it, I think. I'm not an architect, I just think that's what they call it. Okay, I like that. So, let's see here. That's weird. Oh yeah, so these are metal panels. I see. And then that's masonry, so these are bricks. And this is siding. Okay. Let's save it. So next thing I want to do is put on these top metal caps onto the building. It's kind of hard to see them, but what I think, based on my experience, what they should look like is it will be somewhat of a rectangle. Let's see here. Like this. And then I'll do 8 enter, so it'll be 8 inches wide and about 8 inches high, so it's somewhat of a square. Then there's a little flare to it so that the water runs off of it and it doesn't go underneath and ruin the building. And then probably maybe a little edge to that corner just to take off the sharpness of it. I'm guessing because it's kind of hard to see. If I had the CAD, I could see it clearer, but I don't have the CAD, the AutoCAD file. I just have a PDF. I'll probably knock off a little bit of this corner too, just to take the edge off a little bit. So now I'm going to take that profile and I will turn it, right click, make it into a group, and then move it over to our building, to the edge here. Oops, I want to move it to this edge here. And I'll probably make it stick out like a 1/4 inch, 0.25 enter. Now let's make it stick out a 1/2 inch, 0.25, so that the water runs off of it and away from the building a little bit. And I also want to copy that up to here, so I'll use the move tool and then snap it right there, hold down control, move a copy up to this edge as well, because I'm going to make 2 metal caps, one here and one on the rest of the building. So now I can select those, right click, explode. So I've got my edge face here, profile. Edge face, profile. So one thing I want to do, I think this will work. First, let's do this one. So we're going to use the follow me tool, which is right here. It's right above the offset tool. So we click the edge face first, click the follow me tool, then click the profile face. So that created automatically our metal cap. Oops. That looks good. I like that. So it deleted this face underneath here. I'm not sure why. It's just kind of the way it works. So I'm going to have to redraw a couple lines until it shows back up for us. Because we don't want to have holes in our model. Yeah, that looks good. And then someday if we want to 3D print this model, you can't 3D print it with holes in it. So let's try it with this one too. Right click, or not right click, just click, left click on the edge face, and then click follow me tool, click on the profile. And I don't think I like this, having this. That wouldn't really be there. So I'm going to undo that. So what I'm going to do is select both of these, right click, make group, double click, then do view, component, edit, hide rest of model. So I can just work on this by itself. I'm going to just make this a solid object there without this indentation. And I'm going to do it that way. So now, view, component, edit, hide rest of model. Now there is a face going straight through there, but it doesn't matter. If we ever needed to, we could delete it and, you know, intersect those and delete it. I'll do it. I'll just select all this stuff. It'll probably render better. Explode everything. And then do intersect, right click, intersect with selection, intersect faces with selection. So now it created cutout lines against all these surfaces. So now these extra surfaces, I can just use the eraser tool and get rid of them. Ooh, except for this. First I gotta fix this. That little line there. So I don't ruin my whole model because of it. Same thing here. It's because it was sticking out a ½ inch. But with the pencil tool, we can easily fix that. Okay, that looks good. So, what's next? Let's save it. So we know that we want this to be a metal panel, so we'll click on that line and then move it, control, move, start to lock it on there, hold down shift, and then snap it to the edge of this wall here. Okay, so that doesn't look like it's right. I just don't think that they drew this. Just doesn't look correct. I guess this should be back there. Okay, yeah, I was wrong. I had it lined up the wrong way. Yeah, this makes sense now. I was wrong. They didn't draw it wrong. I just had it in the wrong alignment. Okay, that's fine. So just move this line back to there. That's fine. It's just to give it the impression, the illusion that there's a thick metal pillar there, when really it's just a material change. So so it's hard to line it up. I can control move it and then rotate my view around, lock it to that axis, and then snap it to there. So now I've got the illusion of metal pillars coming on around both sides. So it looks like this thing will stick out a little bit with the brick. So we're going to do the same thing that we did to make this cap using the follow me tool. We're going to do that with the brick here. So what I'm going to do is draw a profile for this brick. It'll probably come out just a little bit. Maybe a 1/2 inch, 0.5 enter, and I'll go up, and then I'll do a little 45-degree angle, and then back a little bit, like that, and then down and over. So I made a face there. I'll probably make it a little bit thicker. Just go back just a little bit. That. Now I'll take this profile and turn it into a group, and then move it over. I'm actually going to move it over to here and then rotate it out 90 degrees, because I know that this will run across here, around the back, and then around back to this side, based on how the drawing looks on this side elevation here. So I'll right click explode, and then use the follow me tool, and then I'm just going to click on that and then just drag, click, not click and drag, but just click, and then just start to move my mouse around the edge here, and it will automatically follow the edge. And then when I get to there, stop and click again with the mouse. And then just finish off this line here, and do that to the other side as well. That's it. Now you can see that these corners have trim. It's probably 3 inches or 4 inches. Oh, it's 6 inches. Okay, 6-inch trim. And in reality, I would think that this would have trim as well as this, because they look the same angle. They're both 45-degree angles, so it doesn't show up here, but I'm just going to do it because I think it looks like it should be there. So when we're turning this corner, we want to do probably 3 inches on each side. So what I'm going to do is offset everything here by click on this face and drag, and then type in 3, enter, and then double click around the other faces. I think that looks good. It might not be exactly what they drew, but I don't quite agree with everything they drew. Maybe I'm missing something, but I think I'm just going to leave it like that. The only difference is I'm going to move, select, hold down shift or control select to get more of these lines in my same selection, and then I can move them up. I mean, I would think they wouldn't go up all the way, but maybe they would. But I'm going to leave it like that for now. These ones, however, will go all the way down because you don't want to trap the water inside here for the siding. You want the water to go all the way down. You'll have flashing that will come behind this, and then it'll shoot the water away from the building. So that looks good. We'll also indent this a little bit to make it a little more realistic with the push-pull tool. We'll just go in maybe a ½ inch, 0.5 enter, and double click. I might exaggerate it a little bit. I might go a whole inch in, even though it might not be that much in real life. Just to exaggerate it a little bit, I'll just go 1 inch in to give it a little bit of depth to the model. The rest will be done with the materials. Okay. So that's done back there. This will be a material. That'll be a material. So there's 2 more things we have to do here at the front of this building. Is we have to create these metal panels, and then we have to create these windows and door sections. So before we do that, let's save it. Okay, so now we're going to draw the metal panels onto here. We're not going to do it with the texture. For this, we're going to actually draw the lines and then give them a thickness and then extrude them. So we're going to project this image onto the building itself. So in the materials window, use the eyedropper and eyedropper this material, and then paint it onto here. So now what we can do is we'll just move this out of our way. And come into here and actually draw these lines with a pencil tool. I'm also going to assume that the metal panel turns in. I could be wrong. It could be another material in here like wood or something else. But for now, And I do have a reference image to a similar project that we're supposed to look at for a material reference, so I'll look and see if there's any clues in that reference image as to what, as if this should be metal or some other type of material. Drew that. So I should go this way. Okay, now we can go ahead and put the default material back onto here. And it looks like I missed a line there. Missed a few lines. Oopsie. That's okay, I'll grab those. Get those in there now. That's better. Okay, so let's save this. Let's look at our reference image that we were given. See if we can see any clues to here. And from, it's hard to see, but from this, I'm just going to assume that it's metal turning back underneath here also. And I can see there's lights inside there too. So this is the image that we're supposed to use as a material reference. So these lines that are on here, in Sketchup you can see the lines that we drew, but when you go into a rendering software, it won't render lines. If I go to Styles and I turn off, I go to Edit and then Edges and I turn off the edges, this is what it will look like when it renders. You won't see any of those lines. So what we have to do is we have to give them a thickness and extrude those lines in so that the shadows will be cast by the sun in the rendering program. So what we're going to use is the offset tool, and if we offset it 0.25 and then double click these other areas, that will give us a half-inch thickness line, which is what we want. So we're going to do offset all of these faces by 0.25. Then we can double click, and if we do it correctly, we can double click all the rest of them. And we don't have to type in 0.25 each time. This is a lot faster. But if you get stuck, and then you suck like that, it ruins it. You have to type in 0.25 again to keep it rolling. And did it again. 0.25. Okay, I think I got all of those done on that side. Now I have to do all of these. Now the only difference is that on this edge corner we don't want any lines. It's just the panel is going to wrap the corner. Just going to break and bend off that edge. So what I'm going to do is use the eraser tool and erase these middle lines. So we want that nice 1/2 inch thickness, but we don't need these lines in the middle. They're completely useless and they will get in our way and make our job a lot harder from this point on. So I'm going to delete those. I missed one. Offset, click 0.25, enter. Oh, I missed these ones in here. Okay, I think I got them all now. So let's just save that in case it crashes. So for this edge, we want to get rid of this indent because we want the edge to be to curve around the corner. So I'm going to finish drawing these lines and connect them like this. And then we can delete these extra lines here to keep that continuous. It's just a little cleanup work we have to do on all the edges, the outside corner edges. And also, we have to do the same thing to these edges. Oops. Forgot to draw these. I think that side is done. Now this side. Okay, I think that's it for cleaning up those edges on both sides. So the next thing we need to do after we save it, because we don't want to have to redo that again. Whew. Okay, we're going to use the push-pull tool and then push these spaces in 1 inch. Enter. So we'll just hit 1, enter, and then the rest of them we could double click, and that will push all of them in 1 inch. These bottom pieces we can delete the extra edges that it created for us there. Yeah, this is looking good. So we're creating a 1/2 inch by 1 inch deep crease that will help show up in our rendering software later on. We'll do that to all the spaces in both directions. Looks good. I think that's done. That side. We'll do this side. Oops. Something's blocking it from working. What is it? What's going on here? Why isn't it working? It doesn't want to go in. There's got to be something, some reason why it doesn't want to push in. Something in the way. I don't see anything wrong. What am I missing? Well, let's do the rest of it. Anything that does work, let's get it to work here. Why does that sign not work? It's so weird. Something's wrong, I just don't know what it is. We'll fix it. Okay. So what we'll have to do is grab all of these faces, hold down Control Select to select all these faces, right click, make it into a group. Then we're going to move that group with the move tool 1 inch over, 1, enter, and then right click, explode. Now we're going, instead of extruding the line in, we're going to extrude these panels out to the edge, 1 inch out. And that should give us the same result. The only thing that it didn't do is create a face in the middle and the inside there. We're going to have to do that. And it also created some extra faces out here that we can just delete with the eraser tool. Oops. There's something funky going on there. But we're gonna fake it till we make it. Hopefully nobody notices that we faked it. Okay, that looks good. Now we just have to add in, draw a couple of faces inside here that are missing. Just use the pencil tool to complete these. And then the faces will appear automatically when we draw the edges there. There you go. So one thing I want to do is, let's look at this. So this, we're going to use this like a darker texture metal for the cap here and for the metal panels. But what I like to do is I like to make the inside of these lines a little bit darker than the outside, even though in real life they're probably the exact same color of metal. But what that does is it gives me control in the rendering software later. I can artificially darken and create a higher contrast if I want those lines to be darker. And I'm not so reliant on just the sun and shadows to give me the result I want. I can kind of fake how crisp and contrast those lines are. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select a lot of this whole panel system here. I'm going to hold down Control Shift and deselect those faces there. Also, that's going to, it doesn't matter, it's going to be different up there. So I could Control Shift and make a box to the right and deselect that up there if I want to. You know, deselect that area. I just want the panels and the lines for now. So go to my materials and go to colors and then just give it an arbitrary material and then change it to like a really dark gray. And then I'll do it again, but I'm going to leave this color, this dark one, on the inside lines, and then I'm going to create a new material for the outside. And I'm going to make that also a dark gray, but slightly lighter than the lines, so that there's a higher level of contrast. So once I paint this new texture on here, then I'll adjust the color to what I want it to be. Okay. It's all painted. I'll make that another dark gray, but slightly lighter this time. Like that. So if I click on the materials in my home button, I can see I have my dark gray lines. I can adjust. And then I have my outer metal color. So as far as this shows, it has this gray and then that dark, but on this it doesn't look like there's two different colors. It looks like it's all one color. I'm just wondering, I'm gonna go out on a limb and just, for right now, just make the caps a lighter gray. Like that. Do the same thing for this other cap on the back of the building here, on the rest of the building. Just make that same light gray. And then on this top, I'm going to give it a different texture, kind of a gray, you know, rubbery stucco type texture. I think I have one I like to use. It's kind of just rubber roof that protects it from the rain. It's usually a gray, either light or dark gray. Just have to remember, like stucco. I think it's, which one is it? Or is it in, it's in concrete. I'm trying to remember what I usually use for that. Maybe it is the stucco. I think it's this one. Let's go 40 feet, enter. Then make it kind of a medium gray. A little bit lighter. Yeah, I think I like that for now. Okay. Now the rest of this, it will be different levels of gray. So let's give these edges a different material. We'll just make that kind of a light gray. And then we'll apply a different material to these faces, which will be siding. So let me find siding, I think this one maybe, and then we want it to be 6 inches, so we'll type in 18, enter. It'll be 18 inches, and make that a gray color. Like that. Now this will be a stone color down here, so let's give that a different material. And then click on use texture, find my stone material, let's use that, and then just make that, oops, I missed a spot. Make that kind of a light stone color. Click on colorize. I think I like that for now. Maybe a little bit lighter. Now this is going to be brick down here, so let's give that another color. And click on edit, use texture, and then go to the brick. Find a brick for that. Let's see. See what that looks like. Let's do 10 feet. See how that looks. I think I like that. I can break this link and then scale it down so that it's not so wide. I think I like that better. And make it maybe a little lighter. I kind of like it dark, actually. Reset the color. I like it. I think I like it darker and gives a little contrast. A long board. That should be. I think there's another project that I did that has similar materials to this, so I'm going to try to find that. Maybe copy and paste some of these materials. I don't have to recreate them. I'm just going to add a sky in my Styles tab. Click on this background sky just to give it a little more realism while I'm working. A little more interesting. I don't need this anymore. We're done with this, so I'm just going to delete it. We're not quite done with this one yet, so. Let's save it. Let me try to find that other project real quick. That's not it. That's not it. Can't remember. Okay, I found the other project I was looking for. So this has some similar materials that we can copy and paste. So it also has a door. I think we're going to copy this door. That will save us a little bit of time. Also, we could copy these lights. And I'm going to copy this wood texture. Actually, no, I'm not. I don't really like that wood texture that much. I'm not going to copy it. I'm just going to copy a few other things. Actually, kind of like this wood texture better. Let me copy this door and this. Into our project, then paste it. Just Control C, Control V, or edit, copy, edit, paste. Let me just reset the rotation of this. Okay. I'm going to try to apply that material to this. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like that for now. Maybe a little bit darker like that. And then wrap it around the corner. Let's go with that for now. And I was wondering about this stone. I guess let's give it another material. And let's look for a stone material. In reality, this probably wouldn't be here. This probably would be cut out. But for now, I think it's okay for now. Kind of want to cut it out just to make it more realistic. But I'm going to leave it for now. So let's go to stone. Let's see what we got here. Something like that. I don't really like that. It's a little better. that much. I don't know if that's the material we'll go with, but for right now, see, this is a smaller material, so maybe if I scale it down, just scale it to be a little bit shorter. It's getting closer. I think we'll just make it more gray. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay. See, there's this wood. That even looks smaller. Maybe I'll lower the texture for this so it's thinner. It's more saturated though. Probably just go with that for right now. Okay. So we're making a lot of progress. It's looking really good. Let's explode this. Let's cut and paste some of these lights underneath here. That looks pretty good. I want to center it. And maybe that's too many lights. Maybe it's only every other one. But maybe it's too busy. I don't know. We could probably leave it for now. See how it looks. Probably leave that for now. So I don't need this anymore. I can delete that. So let's save it at this point. So what we need to do is I'm going to explode this. So we really only have two areas we have to do. We have to draw this little roof overhang coming out. And that's done. That's easy. Then we have to draw this section and then just copy it. Make it a component and then copy it 3 times because these are all the same, looks like. So we can just delete all this other stuff. We don't need any of that. This is really all we need. Let's give this just a default material. And then we'll use the push-pull tool to just pull this back. First, let's make it into a component. So that it won't get stuck with any of this other building stuff. Let's pull it back here. I can move this a little closer. I can see this door looks a little bit different. We can modify that later. I'll show you how to do that later. Okay, let's make this let's make this material the same as the metal caps up here, that same gray. And then let's make the underside wood. So let's double click. We'll offset it by 1 inch, 1 enter. Push pull up 1 enter to give it a little bit of a metal wrap around there, and then just make the underside the wood. And then let's copy some of these lights over here. Copy, paste. Control C, Control V. We'll just copy like 4 lights over here. Okay, so that's done. So let's go ahead and let's model this. So let's select it, turn it into a component, and double click, do view, component, edit height, rest of model, go into X-ray mode, and we can start to draw the lines for this. Just trace where the lines are. You can trace this line here, up, and then if I use a selection tool, grab both of these lines, use the move tool, and then hold on control on the, and then click on that and copy it over, and then this space will be the exact same size as this space, which is what we want. Now we can go ahead and finish drawing the rest of these lines. The line at the top of this door here, and then we'll have more lines inside here. And this shows a step up, which I'm going to, I don't agree with that. So I'm just going to ignore it. I think maybe that's showing the sidewalk, maybe not, but I'm gonna cheat it for now and just ignore it. Maybe I'll just pull this line up here to keep the scale accurate. If I mess it up, I'll fix it later. So I can delete this interior face because we're gonna put this door inside there and then copy it and rotate it. So these are going to be glass windows. This is going to be metal panel. So these mullions that are outlining the metal or outlining the glass windows should be 2 inches thick. That's the standard thickness for all the mullions in office buildings. So use the offset tool, and what I'm going to do is just offset it 1 inch, 1 enter, and then keep doing that all the way around. And then I'm going to do it again, so that will give me a 2-inch thickness, and then I'm going to delete some of the lines and keep some of them. So I'm going to offset it 1 inch 2 times for each panel. And then I'll use the for this metal panel, I'll just offset it by 2 inches because that's a separate thing. Now I can go in here, and I know I want to keep these 2 inches going up and then across because that's going to be the outline of the doors. So I need to keep that 2 inches all the way around like that. So I'm going to connect these lines here. Coming around here, connect these 2 inches here. All the way around. Now I'm going to use the eraser tool and erase the extra lines that I don't need. I don't need these ones or these ones. Oops, I deleted too many lines. So now that's all 2 inches here, 2 inches. Oops. I lost my faces here. I'll have to try to draw some lines until I get my faces to reappear. Just draw lines with the pencil tool. Oh, see, that's the one that's causing the problems right there. Let's see. So now that I got that back, I can keep deleting these, but I still need that face to be there. Yeah, I'll fix it later. First, let's delete all the lines we don't want anymore. Okay, so that's 2 inch mullions all around. And I'm just going to give this a default material because I've already drawn all the lines, traced them. I don't need that image showing up anymore. So let's go out of X-ray mode. Let's save it because it might crash. And let's just draw some extra lines going across here to try to bring back all of the faces inside here to get these to come back. So this looks better now. So now if I delete the extra lines we drew, hopefully it'll stay intact, and then we can work off of it from there. So we want that to all be one face, and it is, and that's good. So we can use the push-pull tool and pull this out 2 inches. So we'll type 2, enter. Now on the back, we'll pull that out 2 inches as well. 2, enter. So, and then we have the mullion, then we have the glass in the middle. We'll just pull this one out just 1 inch. Okay, that's good. Can delete these extra lines there. So let's this metal panel, let's do view component at hide rest of model, and let's eyedropper this metal from the top cap, and then inside here, I'm trying to think, maybe this color. I'm not sure if that's the best, or if we should do the reverse. We should do probably the reverse. This should be the lighter trim color, and then on the inside we'll do this medium gray. Yeah, that's good for now. Now we need to have another color for the windows, aluminum color. They call it iodized aluminum, which is a light metal color. That's going to be a new material. There's a little bit of a bluish shine to it. Not much, but it has more reflective quality to it, but you can't simulate that in SketchUp. You need rendering software to do that, unless you have a plug-in. So let's go to our home, and then I have a glass material from this door. I'm going to use that same glass material here for these windows. And I'm also going to apply it to the back of the windows. But that's not a window. I messed that up. There we go. And I'm going to make this glass. That actually looks pretty good. I'm a little surprised how good that looks. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so let's... I wonder... Metal panel, huh? Okay, that's fine. For now, let's save it. Okay, let's... Oh, this already had a material. I should have reused that, but now I just want to delete it. So I'm going to use the eyedropper to find what material this is, right click and delete. Then I'm going to reapply the material we created. So it has the same, this door frame has the same material as the windows. Yeah, that's good. So let's cut and paste it inside of our double click inside of here, And then let's snap it over to line up with the middle of our door opening there, and then just scale it to fit here. And so this is it's a little bit different the way this was in the picture here. Oh, these ones are sticking in too much. I need to pull these down a little bit. So this door is actually different in the drawing. It's different than that too, but I like this door better. I am going to override their drawing and just do the door that I think is better. I think I'm going to do that. If they tell me to change it later, I'll change it later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase these handles because I don't really like them. I'm going to lower this down just a little bit, like that. Let's see, yeah, I mean, in reality, this is a little bit thicker. This is like that. And then the handle, I have a handle that's the correct style that matches this reference photo. I like that better. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try to help out. I might mess it all up or I might make it better. We'll find out in time. So let's go to the models, doors, and then I have a handle right here that I like to use for these situations. Let's drag it in here. And rotate it 90 degrees. And it's facing the wrong way, so I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees and then move it over here. That looks pretty good. Probably just move it like right there. And then I want to give that the same material that's on the rest of the frame. Use an eyedropper. So I want to copy this, rotate it over, because this is a component. So I'm going to draw a line through here, grab that, and then rotate, hold control to mirror it to the other side. Now I'm going to do that same thing with the whole entire door. I'm going to click outside to get that door. Rotate, hold control, 180 degrees. And then I want to pull these apart just a little bit so that, because if I have them all exactly close touching, you probably won't see the line in the render. So I want to just have them apart just a little bit, and then I can just scale this to fit. There. And I will move this back. to line up. Oh, come on. Let's line this up with that there. This should line up with that edge there. And we could scale, this is almost fitting, but let's just scale it to fit like that, just a tiny little bit. And now we have this gap here because this, in the drawing it's up here, but I'm not sure why. It doesn't make sense to me. I think, why would you want to have to step up to get into the building? It shouldn't be like that. So I may just mess it up, but I'm just gonna fake it till I make it for right now, and just fill that opening perfectly with this frame and that door. So this is a component, so I can take this whole thing, control move it over here, and copy that whole section to this area, and then do it again to this area. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, I like it. Let's check our reference image. And here they have a door in the middle, and here there's no door in the middle, which is kind of weird. But I'm not the architect that designed it, so I'm just following the drawing. But everything else seems to be like it's working the way it was supposed to work. I may have misinterpreted it a little bit, maybe. But if I did, the client will have to tell me, and then we'll fix it later. But this will be what will show up for the first draft of the renderings, based on the best I can interpret. So the building, we'll call the building done. We'll just select the whole thing and say right click, make group. And what's really cool is if you ever need to change anything, if you change it on one, it'll change it on all three. So if I make this, you know, if I put something else inside here, it's going to update all of them, not just one, which is really cool. So let's copy and paste this building. Just make sure that I saved it. I'll save an extra version just to make sure. And let's open up the previous part of this tutorial, which is the site, and then just copy and paste that building onto the site. So Control V will paste, or edit and paste, and we need to rotate this 90 degrees and then move it over. Into place there. We can delete these lines. I'm just going to delete all these extra faces that we don't need. And then I can line up these so they line up perfectly with the building. Just move these lines over so they match. looks good. Now we need to line up our roof. Let's, that's a component. Let's make this building a group. Go outside, click outside, right click, and explode. So now this building is separate from this roof. We can move this roof over to match our outline from our site from the previous. Oh, I didn't get the lights though. Ooh, that's not good. I have to redo that so I can grab all the lights. So, explode that group. Select all of those with the lights. Make that a group. Then select the rest of the building and make that a group. Click outside, right click, explode. Now I've got my roof with the lights and the building. There's two separate objects. Two separate groups. I can move this over. And then double click. I'm going to explode that. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. Do view, component edit, hide rest and model. And I can move this edge over there to match that line. Now I'm just going to readjust my lights just slightly over. Okay. Pull these up. And let's make those the same color as the dark panels over here. Yeah, I think that looks good for now. Maybe this wants to be dark. I kind of want to make this dark too. I don't know. Does that look better or worse? I don't know. I think I'm going to leave it for now. I'm not sure if it's better or worse. I can erase these lines here because I already have the roof in place, aligned with where it was supposed to be. And that's pretty much it for the building. We still have to add in the dumpsters and the fences here. And I won't make you model those up. I'm just going to copy them, paste them from a different project, and then include that in the downloadable source files for this tutorial. Let's turn on the sky, make it look a little bit prettier. Yeah. Okay. I don't really like these lights that much. I want to put a different light in there. Something a little more modern that matches the style of the building more. So let's save this. And then let's find that that other project that has the dumpster that I want. So I think it's this project here. Yeah, right here has a dumpster and a fence. We'll just copy and paste both of these right out of this project. Because it's not a huge important part of the rendering, it's just something that it's part of the project, but it doesn't have to be like perfect to just copy it from a different project or the 3D warehouse. So we've got this fence here, put it right there. Let's rotate it. Put it here. And then I mean, basically, you have these doors here, but I don't think anybody's really going to see them because they're just part of the fence. All I have to do is make this rotate out and match up. It's just for window dressing. Pretty much. Let's just copy this. Rotate, hold down Control to mirror a copy of it over here. That looks good. Let's make that into a component. Explode these into pieces. Then move and hold down Control, copy it over here. And this one's going to be half the size, so this is a component. So what I want to change this one, and if I change it, this one's going to change too. So I have to right click and say Make Unique. So now when I change this component, it's not connected to this one. It's not an instance of that one any longer. So I can delete out some of these faces and move this in and edit this. And like I said, because this is not a part of the actual building, it's just a decoration basically. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Like the building has to be pretty accurate, like 90, in between 92 and 96.5% accurate. It doesn't, like, nothing's going to be 100% accurate unless they're going to be using this model to actually build the building and use it for an accurate building information model, then we have to take extra time to make sure it's perfectly accurate, but we need it close enough to make the rendering look good. For this, let's just turn this into concrete, because I think that's what it looks like. We'll just eyedropper this concrete from the edge there. That's good enough for now. So the only thing I think we have left to do for modeling this project is changing these lights, because I don't like them. I already said that. I repeat myself sometimes. I don't know why. Let's zoom in a little bit. I think I saw the other kind of light that I like. I might just replace it and call it good for now. Just go to my library of objects. And the one I like better, I think, for this project is this one, because it looks more modern. It's a little bit chunky, though. Like, maybe I need to thin up these, like make them thinner like that. Yeah, I like that better. I don't know. I think there's better options somewhere. So what does this one look like? Dude, that one I like even better. The only thing is I have to make it a little bit bigger. And then I'll have to duplicate that 180 in the rotation. I like that one better. Except this color is too dark. There, it's better. I'm gonna give this the same texture as the rest of the concrete so that there's not so many textures in here. I want to limit the amount of textures that I have to edit later on in the rendering software. So let's just replace these with these more modern looking lights. Much better. Yes, much better. I also kind of want to make these a little thinner, make it 0.5 scale, 0.5. That's a little too thin. Ooh, this isn't good. I have to turn this all into a component here. I'm actually gonna make two different versions of this glass, because the one's gonna be the outer glass and one is gonna be the actual light source on the inside. That's gonna have a glowing light effect on it. That'll be the light bulb, like that. But I need to give it two different materials, so this one I'm going to do something to get rid of extra materials that I don't need, that I'm not using. I go to Window, Model Info, click on Statistics, say Purge Unused. So anything that's unused, it'll delete it automatically. So I can see things a little bit clearer in here. So I'm going to make this lighter. Then I'm going to make this a new, I'm going to click on this button here to create a new material. And make that a little bit brighter there. That's going to be the light source. So I'll push that up right there. Push this up right there. And then select all of that, right click, make component. So now that that's a component, now I can copy that whole thing. And rotate it, hold down Control 180, enter. But I also, I'm going to explode this part here. I want to make this longer, like that. But I want also, oops. Let me see here. Pull it out a little bit. Yeah, I like that. We're going to keep it like that. Maybe raise these up to right there. There. Nice. We're done. Oh, there's one thing I forgot. One thing I forgot. Not off the hook yet. Okay, so let's save this. There's one final touch that if there's something not realistic about the way these sidewalks transition into the road and then back up. We have to lower this concrete, so this is a little bit tricky, but basically I'm going to double click, I'm going to get inside this group and draw like a somewhat of a square shape, even though there's a curve here, just kind of like a square. Extend this out about 6 inches to either side, and then come in with it here. Now I'm going to apply a concrete texture to all of that and use the push-pull tool. I'm going to bring all these faces down 6 inches down to the same level as the asphalt. Okay. Now I'm going to simplify these curves so that they're no longer really curves anymore. They're just going to be straight lines. It's going to make things a little bit simpler in the model. I'm probably going to extend this out a little bit more. Like that. Let's just delete these. Now what we have to do is we can delete these inside faces here. We don't need those, or these. And then use the pencil tool to create lines that go up the slope here. And then reconnecting everything back. And that's actually, it's very accurate to how sidewalks work. Draw a line there. Because you're walking down the sidewalk and then it slopes down to the road and then it'll slope back up. So what we did here, we have to do 3 more times, or 1, 2, 3, 4 more times to all of these to be accurate. And it might be a little bit overkill as far as making things accurate, but it's a little finishing touch that I've noticed that if I don't put it in, it bugs me. It's just something that it really gives it a little more realism, because you wouldn't just walk here and then boom, you're gonna trip over this curb. You want something that you can go up, especially if someone has a wheelchair or a bicycle or a scooter, and you hit that curb, boom, you're gonna go flying, and you're gonna have a bad headache later from hitting the ground with your head, probably, possibly. So let's just make this model safe for everybody who rides scooters and bicycles, and let's just go ahead and finish doing all of this. And I know it seems a little bit like you need to have some patience and just duck your head down and get her done, because it's just a lot of little finishing touches that really just, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it makes it look like we really care about the detail of the project. We want things to be good and accurate to a certain degree. If I didn't think it made the project look better, I wouldn't care, but I really do think it makes things look better. It just really, for some reason, these little touches, it shows that we care. And you know, to me, it's the little details that will set you apart from other people, other artists that just go through things quickly and just to get them done. And it really does show. People notice it. You might not think they do, but trust me, they notice. It makes a big difference when you care about how things look and how accurate and just caring, basically. It'll show through in the work. Something went wrong. Something didn't line up. It's not making that last face. It's bugging. Oh, it did. It's just the sun angle. It bugs me. Man, the sun angle. Let's change it a little bit. There we go. From the shadow settings. It's gonna make me angry. Like, why isn't it making that last face? But it was. I just couldn't see it with the sun angle. 2 more. That's it. One more thing. I know I said that before, but this is not that difficult. I want to put some score lines in this concrete. I think it will really... I've noticed that when you put score lines, it doesn't have to be in all the concrete, but where the focus of the camera is for the renderings will be on this building mostly. It really enhances it. So what I'm going to do is save this. And then get into this site object, this group, and then do view, component edit, hide rest of model. So I'm gonna, for right now, I'm gonna get rid of this line, and I'm gonna start drawing new lines, starting with the edges of this area here, the edges of these areas here. Then we'll do one in the middle. We'll split the difference. And then we'll also we'll grab the edges of here. And then split the difference. And split the difference here. That's all we need, just something really simple. We'll do a line right here too, and just capture this edge here. And that's it. Nothing more than that. Just something to give a little bit more detail. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new material that's a darker concrete. So we're going to click on the concrete, click create new material. So it'll be a copy of this, but darker. Add that, apply that to all the faces we just cut out. Okay. Now we're going to offset those. What I've found works a good thickness is 0.2 inches. And then double click on all the rest of them. So they're all going to be offset 0.2 inches from each other, or from the center lines of all of our pieces that we cut out. So 0.2 inches and then 0.2, so in total it'd be 0.4 inches apart. For some reason, I've done a lot of experimenting over the years, and it just seemed to be the right amount of thickness to make the renderings look good. Not too much, but still visible. Get rid of these center lines that we don't need anymore. And then we'll do the same thing we did with those metal panels. Basically, we're doing the exact same thing when we created these metal panels. And then we're going to use the push-pull tool, push this line down 1 inch, 1, enter. I don't like how that did it. I need to connect. I just want to connect this face just temporarily to create a face here so that it has something to pull off of. I know it doesn't make sense, but as I'm trying to explain it, but it just works. So you just have to trust me for now, because I want to get the right, the tan should be on the bottom, and then the front faces should be on top. So I'll leave this dark line in the lines, but then I'll reapply the light concrete to the tops so that it looks like it's all concrete, the same color, but now we have these darker lines cut out, literally cut out in 3D. That's what we want. That's just how it would be in real life. They would cut these score lines so that, because if they leave it all as one piece of concrete, you may know this, or may not. If you do any construction work or you know somebody that does, over time the ground underneath it will shift a little bit, and then the concrete will crack. So they cut lines in it so that it can flex a little bit as the ground shifts with different types of weather and any movement, any little earthquakes or tsunamis or any kind of tropical severe weather, typhoon. See it now when you're walking close to this building, it just has a little bit more detail, but I will tell you, with everything that I have learned doing this for over 20 years, that it's a little bit of extra detail that you take the time to put into it that makes all the difference between if it looks good or it just looks okay. And you want it to look good because you care about how the project comes out for your clients, and they will keep coming back to you over and over again because they will say, no, I want this person to do my projects, nobody else, because they're the one that takes the extra time to do the nice little details that really make it look good. And you will build that trust. And then you will have more work than you can ever handle. You'll be asking other people to get trained and help you to do those projects. Thank you. And that is all. Until next time.